Welcome to the AnzenGuard podcast. I'm Michael Reynolds, and
I'm Laura Wilson.
we're here to dive deep into the question of, do you really need antivirus protection on your Android phone?
It's a question we get a lot. And
Yeah, these days we rely on our phones for pretty much everything, right?
oh, absolutely. Banking, shopping, staying connected with friends and family.
But are those built-in security features that come with our phones?
Yeah,
Are they really enough to keep us safe?
right.
Or do we really need to think about that extra layer of protection from a third-party antivirus app?
Yeah, I think it's a question worth exploring, especially with all the headlines we see these days about data breaches and malware attacks.
I mean, it's kind of like we just assume our phones are these impenetrable fortresses, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
It's funny how we lock our homes and our cars,
Well,
but when it comes to these little devices that hold so much of our personal information,
yeah.
kind of just assume they're invincible.
Yeah, it's like we think they have this like invisible force field around them.
Right, exactly.
That just repels all digital dangers.
But the reality is a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
While Android phones do have some built-in security features
Right.
that are working behind the scenes,
Uh-huh.
there are still threats out there that can slip through the cracks.
So, okay, let's get right to it. Can Android phones even get viruses?
Well, the classic self-replicating viruses that we used to see on computers are
Yeah.
actually pretty rare on Androids.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean they're immune to other types of malware.
Got it. So we're not talking about the kind of virus that brings your phone to a screeching halt,
No.
like a flashing skull and crossbones.
No, not exactly.
Okay.
The malware that we see on Androids today is much sneakier
Uh-huh.
and much more sophisticated.
Okay.
For example, there's Tryout.
Try out.
This nasty piece of malware can hide on your phone and silently track your activity.
Oh, wow.
Even share your data without you ever knowing it's there.
It's like having a little spy in your pocket.
Exactly. It's like a digital stalker lurking in the shadows.
So what other kind of trouble can these malicious programs cause?
Oh, they can wreak all sorts of havoc.
Like what?
Well, some malware is designed to steal your personal information.
Yep.
Passwords, banking details, even your social security number.
That's scary.
It is. And that stolen information can then be used for identity theft fraud or even something called doxing.
Doxing. I've heard that term, but I'm not really sure what it means.
So imagine having your most private information, your home address, phone number, financial details,
Yeah?
blasted all over the internet for anyone to see.
Oh, wow.
That's essentially what doxing is.
Okay.
It's a malicious tactic used to harass, intimidate, or even endanger someone by making their personal information public.
So this malware isn't just after our data, it could actually put our safety at risk.
Exactly. And then there's ransomware, which is like a digital hostage situation.
Okay.
It can lock you out of your phone and all your files
Oh, no.
and demand a ransom payment to regain access.
So it's basically holding your digital life hostage.
You got it. And of course, cyber criminals can also just sell your stolen data for profit on the dark web.
Right.
It's a lucrative business, unfortunately.
That's unsettling.
Yeah.
But you did mention that Android phones do have some built-in security features.
Right.
What are those?
One of the most important is Google Play Protect.
Okay.
Think of it as a vigilant security guard for your phone,
Okay.
constantly scanning apps and websites for anything suspicious.
So it's like a digital bouncer checking IDs at the door.
Exactly. Google Play Protect scans apps before you even download them from the Play Store.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps an eye on apps that you've installed from other sources, too.
What about those apps you download directly from websites, the ones that aren't in the Play Store?
Yeah, those are called side-loaded apps.
Okay.
And they do carry a higher risk
Right.
because they haven't gone through the same vetting process as apps in the Play Store.
Okay.
But even with side-loaded apps, Google Play Protect is still working to keep you safe.
What else is there?
Well, there's safe browsing, which is built right into Google Chrome.
Right.
It's like having a little warning sign pop up whenever you're about to wander into a dangerous digital neighborhood.
Okay.
It warns you about suspicious websites
Uh-huh.
and helps you avoid those accidental clicks that could lead to trouble.
So like a guardian angel watching over my browsing habits.
Exactly. And then there are the software and security updates that you get from Google.
Right.
They might seem like a nuisance,
Yeah.
but they're actually incredibly important.
Why is that?
Think of them as patches for your phone's armor.
Okay.
They fix vulnerabilities that hackers could exploit to get into your device.
Got it.
It's crucial to install those updates as soon as they become available
Okay.
to keep your defenses strong.
So those updates are like getting a software upgrade for your phone's immune system.
That's a great way to put it. And don't forget about app permissions.
Oh, yeah.
You know those pop-ups that ask if an app can access your camera, microphone, or location?
Yeah, usually just click allow without
Yeah.
even thinking about it.
Well, it's important to be mindful of those permissions
Got it.
because they control what information an app can access on your phone.
Right.
You don't want to give away more access than necessary. It's
Right.
all about being in control of your own privacy.
Like setting boundaries for your apps, letting them know what they can and can't do.
Exactly. And as a final layer of protection, Android phones have default security settings
Okay.
that prevent you from downloading apps from unknown sources.
Right.
This is a really important safety net because those shady corners of the internet are often where malware likes to hide.
So Android's got our backs in a lot of ways.
It definitely does.
But I think it's time we address the elephant in the room.
Yeah,
Are those built-in security features enough
right.
to keep us safe in this digital jungle?
That's a great question and one that we'll tackle in the next part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the AnzenGuard podcast.
So we're picking up right where we left off, trying to figure out if Android's built-in security features are really enough to protect us in today's world.
Right, and as much as we love those features,
Yeah.
there are definitely times when those built-in defenses might not be enough to keep you truly safe.
Okay, so when should we start thinking about calling in reinforcements, so to speak?
Well, let's imagine you're someone who loves exploring the vast app universe.
Right.
You're not just sticking to the Play Store.
Right.
You're venturing into those alternative app stores, downloading APK files directly from websites.
Yep.
Maybe even dabbling in a little sideloading action.
So you're an app adventurer, always on the lookout for those hidden gems.
Exactly. And while that adventurous spirit is commendable, it also comes with increased risk.
How so?
Well, apps from those less regulated sources haven't gone through the same rigorous security checks
Right.
as those in the Play Store, so there's a higher chance of encountering something malicious.
So in this scenario, a third-party antivirus app could be like having a seasoned guide, someone who knows the treacherous paths and can steer you clear of danger.
That's a great analogy. A good antivirus app can scan those downloaded files before they even have a chance to install, giving you that extra layer of protection.
And what about those folks who like to tinker with your phones?
Oh, yeah.
The ones who push the boundaries of what's possible.
The rooters and jailbreakers.
Okay.
Those who seek to unlock the full potential of their devices.
Now, I'm not one of those tech wizards.
Mm-hmm.
So can you explain what rooting or jailbreaking actually does?
Sure. Essentially, it gives you administrative control over your phone's operating system,
Okay.
allowing you to bypass those default security settings,
Uh-huh.
customize things in ways that wouldn't normally be possible.
Got it.
So you can install custom ROMs, tweak system settings for performance boosts, and even remove pre-installed bloatware that you never use.
Sounds pretty powerful, but I bet there's a trade-off, right?
There is. While Rootin can unlock some amazing features,
Yeah.
it also makes your phone more vulnerable to security threats.
Okay. So
It's like removing some of the built-in safeguards that Android provides,
Yeah.
leaving your device more exposed to malware.
if you're going to play in that advanced sandbox, you better have some extra protection.
Precisely. In this case, a third-party antivirus app becomes even more crucial,
Okay.
acting as a watchful guardian to compensate for those weakened defenses.
Makes sense. Now let's talk about those who use their phones for work.
Right.
I'm thinking about people who handle sensitive data like confidential company emails,
Uh-huh.
client information, things like that.
Yeah, that's another scenario where a third-party antivirus app can be a real lifesaver.
Okay.
Imagine accidentally downloading a malicious file that compromises your work emails
Oh, wow.
or exposes sensitive client data. The consequences could be disastrous.
Yeah, it's like leaving the door to your office wide open, inviting anyone to walk in and rummage through your files.
Exactly. A good antivirus app can act as a security system for your work data,
Okay.
scanning files, emails, attachments for threats, and helping to keep that sensitive information safe from prying eyes.
So it's like having a virtual security guard patrolling your work files.
That's a great way to think about it. And let's not forget about those of us who are a bit, shall we say, absent-minded when it comes to our phones.
You mean the people who are constantly leaving their phones in coffee shops or on the bus?
Guilty as charged.
Ah.
But seriously, if you're someone who frequently loses or misplaces your phone,
Yeah.
a third-party antivirus app that includes features like remote wipe and device location can be an absolute lifesaver.
So if your phone decides to go on an adventure without you, you can track it down.
Yes.
Or erase all your data remotely, making sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Exactly. It's like having a digital leash for your phone,
Right.
giving you that peace of mind, knowing you can protect your data even when your device goes astray.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the situations where those extra layers of protection from a third-party antivirus app might be a wise investment.
Right.
But what exactly do these apps do? What kinds of features are we talking about?
Well, think of them as a toolbox filled with digital security gadgets.
Okay.
Most antivirus apps offer real-time protection and on-demand scans, which
Oh,
means they're constantly working in the background,
right.
scanning for threats, and you can also manually scan your device whenever you feel like it.
So they're like those little robot vacuums
Mm-hmm.
that constantly roam around cleaning up any digital dust bunnies they find.
That's a fun way to put it. And just like those robot vacuums, antivirus apps can be surprisingly thorough.
Okay.
They can even scan your SD card.
With those little memory cards we use to store photos and music?
The very same.
Yep.
You might be surprised how easily malware can hide on those external storage devices.
Okay, so they scan for threats. What else?
Well, some antivirus apps go above and beyond, offering features that can actually optimize your phone's performance and battery life.
Oh, wow.
They do this by identifying and closing those resource-hogging apps that are secretly draining your battery in the background.
So they're like digital declutterers, helping your phone run smoother and longer.
Exactly. And don't forget about those app permissions we talked about earlier.
Right.
Some antivirus apps can actually help you manage them more effectively,
Okay.
giving you a clearer picture of what each app can access and allowing you to fine-tune those permissions to protect your privacy.
So it's like having a personal assistant for your phone's security and performance.
That's a great way to think about it. And of course, there are those extra features we mentioned earlier,
Huh.
like remote wipe and device location.
Right.
Some apps even offer things like call block-in, app lock-in,
Okay.
and theft alerts that can send you a notification if someone tries to move your phone without your permission.
Wow, that's a pretty impressive arsenal of tools.
It is.
It sounds like these apps can really give you a lot of control over your phone's security and even help it run better.
They definitely can, but it's important to remember that no security solution is perfect.
Right.
Even with the best antivirus app, it's still crucial to be smart about how you use your phone.
So it's like having a security system in your house.
Yeah.
It's great to have that extra protection,
Yeah.
but you still need to lock your doors and windows.
Exactly. So, with that in mind, let's delve into some real-world examples of how these threats can actually play out.
Okay.
Remember that statistic we mentioned earlier about NortonLifeLock blocking thousands of malicious apps every day?
Yeah, that number really stuck with me.
Well, imagine one of those apps managing to slip through the cracks and onto your phone. Let's say it's disguised as a harmless game or a handy utility app.
Okay.
You download it without a second thought,
Yeah.
but in the background, it's silently stealing your personal information, tracking your every move, or even turning your phone into a cryptojacking zombie.
Hold on, a cryptojack zombie. Now that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Right.
What exactly does that mean?
It's not as dramatic as it sounds, but it's definitely not a good thing.
Okay.
Cryptojacking is when malware secretly uses your phone's processing power to mine cryptocurrency without your knowledge or consent.
Oh, wow.
It can slow down your phone, drain your battery, and even rack up huge data charges.
So it's like someone is hijacking your phone to make money for themselves.
Exactly. And then there are those rogue apps that specifically target your address book.
Okay.
They might look like legitimate contact management apps.
Right.
But their real goal is to steal your contacts' information names, phone numbers, email addresses, and sell it to spammers or scammers.
That's just creepy. I mean,
I
who
know.
wants to end up on some spammer's hit list?
No one. And unfortunately, these are just a few examples of the many threats lurking out there.
Mm.
That's why it's so important to be vigilant and to consider those extra layers of protection.
So how can antivirus software help protect us from these digital dangers?
Well, a good antivirus app is like a digital detective constantly on the lookout for suspicious activity.
Okay.
It has a constantly updated database of known threats, and it uses that database to scan your apps and files looking for anything that matches those known patterns of malware.
So it's like having a fingerprint database for malware.
That's a great way to think about it. If the antivirus app finds something suspicious, it will alert you and give you the option to remove the threat.
Uh-huh.
It can also scan websites for malicious code
Okay.
and warn you about potentially dangerous links,
Got it.
acting like a safety net while you're surfing the web.
So it's like having a digital bodyguard watching your back as you navigate the vast and sometimes treacherous landscape of the internet.
Exactly. And some antivirus apps even offer features that can help you recover your phone if it's lost or stolen.
Okay.
They might include remote track-in, remote lock-in,
Oh.
or even the ability to remotely wipe your data, ensuring it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Wow. It sounds like these apps can offer a whole lot of peace of mind in today's digital world.
They definitely can, but as we've said before, no security solution is foolproof.
Right.
The best approach is to combine a good antivirus app with those smart browsing habits we talked about earlier. Be mindful of the apps you download, the websites you visit, and the links you click.
Okay.
And always keep your phone's operating system and apps up to date. Think of it as a teamwork approach to security.
Solid advice.
Yeah,
So we've covered a lot of ground here today.
we have.
Exploring the built-in security features of Android phones.
Right.
And delving into the world of third-party antivirus apps.
Yes.
But before we wrap things up, I'm curious to hear your take on this. In a world where mobile threats are becoming more and more sophisticated, is reliance solely on Android's built-in security really enough?
That's a great question, and one that deserves a closer look.
Yeah.
We'll tackle that very question in the final part of this episode.
Okay.
So stay tuned.
Welcome back to the AnzenGuard podcast.
Glad to have you back for the final part of our deep dive into Android antivirus.
You know, we've spent this episode talking about all the ways our Android phones try to keep us safe.
Right. All those built-in security features.
Yeah, and when those features might need a little help from a third-party antivirus app. So, as we wrap up this episode, I'm curious to get your take on this question.
Okay.
In a world where those mobile threats are getting more and more complex, is relying only on what Android gives us really enough?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, is there a right answer?
You know, there's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to mobile security.
Okay.
It depends on your individual needs, how you use your phone, what kind of risks you're comfortable with.
So it's not like a magic formula.
No, not at all. But let's give credit where credit is due.
Uh-huh.
Android has made some fantastic strides in security.
Right.
Google Play Protect is always there in the background,
Yeah.
scanning for those bad guys.
Uh-huh.
They're constantly releasing security updates to patch up holes that hackers could use to get in.
Right.
And you have a lot of control over those app permissions,
Yeah.
deciding which apps can access your camera, your microphone, your location.
So for the average person who's pretty careful about what they download, sticks to the main roads of the internet, keeps their phone updated, those built-in features might be enough.
For a lot of folks, absolutely. But for others, those extra layers of protection you get from a third-party antivirus app could really make a difference.
It's kind of like anything else, right? You weigh your own level of risk and decide what makes you feel safe.
Exactly. Think of it like this. If you lived in a really safe neighborhood,
Yeah.
you might feel fine just relying on your basic home security, locks on the doors and windows, maybe a motion-activated light.
Right.
But if you lived in an area with a higher crime rate, or if you had valuable things that needed extra protection,
Okay.
you probably want to consider a more comprehensive security system.
Right.
An alarm cameras, maybe even a professional monitoring service.
So it's about finding that balance between convenience and peace of mind.
Exactly. And if you're not sure whether or not you need that third-party app,
Yeah.
it never hurts to look into some of the well-known options.
Okay.
See what features they offer.
A lot of them have free trials or free versions, right?
They do, so you can try before you buy.
Right, kind of like taking a security system for a test drive before you install it in your digital home.
I like that analogy.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
I think so.
And hopefully our listeners are feeling a bit more confident about making those decisions about their Android security.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Yeah,
And the more you understand about the threats out there, the better you can protect yourself.
well said. Well, that brings us to the end of another deep dive. Thanks for joining us today on the AnzenGuard podcast. I'm Michael Reynolds,
And I'm Laura Wilson.
and we hope you found this episode helpful and maybe even a little bit empowering. Remember to subscribe to the AnzenGuard podcast for more deep dives into the world of digital security and privacy. And if you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you'd leave us a rating or review and share it with your friends. Until next time, stay safe out there.